Phenotypic plasticity is about expressing different phenotypes from one same genotype according to environmental conditions. While the benefits of plasticity are clear, it might be associated with costs, and it's not clear how this happens. Understanding these costs could help explain and predict the behavior of living creatures and also help to design better robotic systems. There's no consensus in the literature about plasticity costs. Some studies report strong evidence for costs, but others observe no costs. Among several challenges in this kind of investigation is the difficulty of isolating the effect of different types of costs. To tackle this challenge, we use artificial life, also called A-life. In A-life, artificial living systems can have their properties customized. This could include properties of the environment, the innate mechanisms, and even basic needs like having to eat or not. The present study investigates the costs of plasticity for digital organisms. Effects are isolated by enabling only genetic costs. Different populations of organisms were evolved to locomote in a plain terrain environment. They were expected to displace to two pairs of directions. One pair is right and left, illustrating conditions in which success is impossible or very unlikely without plasticity. Another pair is right down, illustrating conditions when the expected gain of being plastic is relatively small. Organisms could have plasticity in the body and brain, only in the brain, or have no plasticity. Additionally, a baseline experiment was conducted representing a focal environment. The hypothesis was that despite the potential of phenotypic plasticity, its benefits might be undermined by plasticity genetic costs. Results showed that for all methods, fitness deficits were observed when compared to the focal environment. Additionally, plasticity was helpful when involving mutually exclusive behaviors like right and left, but neutral when desired behaviors were only partially contradictory, like right and down. When desired behavior is displacing right and left, non-plastic organisms can only wobble in the middle. On the other hand, plastic organisms displace well in these directions. No behavioral difference was observed between plasticity only in the brain and plasticity in both body and brain. Nevertheless, when the desired behavior is displacing right and down, non-plastic organisms succeeded by displacing diagonally. And though plastic robots displace more precisely to the desired directions, in average, they are as good as non-plastic organisms. The two setups that we analyzed are complementary. Results from right and down alone could leave one wondering if fitness deficits are not simply a result of having to cope with multiple conditions, while the regulatory system is actually idle. However, the right and left setup demonstrates a case in which the lack of plasticity results in much more severe fitness deficits. This clarifies that plasticity is functional but leads to deficits, and that depending on the expected gain, there might be no benefit in plasticity. In conclusion, our hypothesis proved to be true. Plasticity costs undermine plasticity benefits. This was concluded to be related to genetic costs, which could result from negative pleiotropic effects in which certain genes influence multiple traits, and negative epistatic interactions, meaning negative interaction among genes. Now, how could that be a problem? Imagine that a gene contributes to the expression of a certain trait, but also to the regulation of traits. Let's assume that this gene produces a good trait, but a bad regulatory clause. For example, stomach acid is good for digestion, but we definitely don't want that in our eyes because, well, that's pretty obvious. Now imagine this gene undergoes mutation and gets expressed in a stomach-like environment, which is good. But instead of producing stomach acid, it produces hair. And you're like, come on. Such mutations might cause frequent and severe shifting of traits. If important traits share genetic material with crucial regulatory clauses, there might be very specific combinations of good traits that can be produced without disrupting regulation, and this could cause the fitness landscape to be wrecked with several distant peaks. If you like this research, you can read my full paper in the link below. And thanks for watching.